When I started out in the field, I came from high school. I grew up in African countries and European countries, and in 2 years before my high school graduation, I was in Germany. Going through high school was an interesting experience, but when I was ready to move on, I didn't know what to do. And one exciting moment that actually I can recall that pushed me to the field was when in the 1990s, the war in Kuwait broke out and people were on the streets to protest against oil. There was a lot happening, but at the same time there was the very first wars in Bosnia-Herzegovina, in former Yugoslavia, and nobody went on the streets to protest against concentration camps. So I found myself within a friend of mine protesting against it, but nobody would actually pay attention. That pushed me then to say I want to do something in the field, and at that time it was a good time because the wall came down in Germany, and NATO was trying to look for other ways to do operations than just to secure the alliance. So there was the right moment for me to enter, and because of my background, my language skills, and my ability to actually adapt to different environments, I was sent rather quickly to NATO headquarters and then be part of peacekeeping operations. I was privileged in the sense that I got to see the front lines in the field. I was sent out to understand who were the actors, and I was able to report back to headquarters or to NATO headquarters what was happening in the field. So throughout my career then, either in Cambodia, Somalia, in Rwanda, during genocide, but also later Afghanistan, I was able to understand, engage with stakeholders, engage in a dialogue, but to understand really what's behind the stories and to work towards conflict prevention. It was later that I realized that I got a bit tired of being in the field in a military environment, and I decided to then study. My studies took me first to a law degree, which I then used later on to also practice within the field of mediation. And that's actually when I realized that I was doing mediation. I didn't know that there was something out there that was called mediation. But people came to me and said, what you were doing is mediation, and that's when I realized that is something I really would like to do and continue doing. So I engaged in further research and further academic studies, and at the time I was engaging more with the UN and other organizations working in the field. By that time, in 2009, I was approached by Columbia University from this program, and I was then becoming part of the very first cohort in 2009, and since then I've been part of the program. Now, some exciting moments were certainly when I was able to bring help and to assist victims, especially in Bosnia, that when they learned that their criminals, perpetrators were actually apprehended, they knew that justice was being served, and the ability to be able to tell them that in their faces was a very exciting moment. Another aspect was when I was able to provide and produce my very first book, which was an exciting experience. And this book is now being used at the Sudanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Khartoum to then train their 30 ambassadors. So you can see sometimes a little project can become very big in terms of systemic issues. And another thing I'm very happy about, and coming from Africa, being a child from Africa, I've been able to work with the Economic Community of West African States, which is a regional security arrangement, and I've been able to provide them with mediation support and dialogue to the extent that it actually helps them to prevent conflicts in their own environments. What I can say about the program is that it brings together a range of skill sets, either from practice or from theory. So I'm able to bring about the research part of my work and the practice part. And this is then reflected in work such as the books I've published in the field on mediation, on conflict resolution, and most likely for the midterm to long term, I'll be focusing on another 2 or 3 books, but also providing support to the UN and other organizations when it comes to conflict prevention.